Good morning. It's Thursday. It's the 7th of May, 2026. My first story is one that when I first heard about Palantir, I wondered why Trump was promoting it as a company. Because of the fact it's mass surveillance, it's data collection, and it concerned me at the initial outset that it was overreach, etc., etc., etc. Now, as I've just sat back and watched, it makes so much sense. Because it's not about watching so much you and I, which of course it can do. But without them, we wouldn't have all the front door access to the corruption of the City of London, the United Kingdom Corporation, the EU Corporation, the US Corporation. And Palantir will be able to expose through the front door everything, all of the corruption that has happened over the past 10, 20 years. Because they've been collecting the data. They've been collecting all of the information of what's been happening in the City of London, what's been happening in the United Kingdom Corporation, what's been happening in the EU Corporation. Everything is there, hard evidence. We had it many years ago through the back door, thanks to Julian Assange, thanks to Edward Snowden, thanks to the Epstein files. But that's through the back door. It's important that when you take down an establishment, you do everything legally and above board. Otherwise, you leave the opportunity for them to recover and fight back. So now you can see very clearly the benefits of Palantir. That's my first take. Drew, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everyone. Voting is underway across parts of the UK today, and insiders fear the political map could shift dramatically. Nigel Farage and Reform UK are surging in several regions, especially in Scotland and Wales, where frustration over the economy, immigration and living standards continue to rise. Pressure is mounting on Keir Starmer as markets quietly price in growing political instability.
We're going to see a huge backlash against Keir Starmer. And of course, Starmer rhymes with karma. It's going to come back and bite him in the bottom, which will make a change from the Ukrainian boys biting his bottom. But there's going to be a big change in the landscape of the UK politically. I said 4 to 5 years ago that every government will fall. We're seeing that in the UK. And that what is happening is you've got restore and reform that will transition us away from the old two-party system. They will transition us away from government towards governance. You can't do it overnight. It takes time. But we're watching the transition and we're watching the dismantling of an old system. The old cronies. My biggest concern is even in the new parties, we've spoken to a number of the new candidates over the past year or so. And it's amazing how they're tarred with the same brush, but they're not as dirty. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. One particular question that we were putting to some of them was about taking up the case of human trafficking, child trafficking. The other was about the rape gangs, just as little testers to see where they're at. And in theory, they were very much behind us. But in practice, just like the old mob, They went very quiet when actually having to do something. So don't get overexcited, but we're heading in the right direction. Not everything is going to work out overnight. It takes time to drain the swamp. Even in the new parties, there are going to be swamp creatures and swamp monsters. My next story is a very interesting one in the UK. There's a young lady in the UK called Hannah, and she has a website called notaperson.org. And she has now proven that you do not need to file a tax return. Now, don't just stop paying tax. I haven't paid tax for 43 years, but I've done it within the law. You have to do things correctly. And for those people watching, in 1983, I became a resident in Gibraltar, tax-free, lived in Spain, was allowed to do that. My business was run out of Gibraltar. Then 10 years later, I became a resident in Zug, Z-U-G, in Switzerland. Incredibly low taxes for 10 years. I had a house there overlooking Lake Zug, beautiful part of the world, tax-free. And then in 2003, I became a resident in Dubai, tax-free, within the law. The most important thing is to do things lawfully, to do things correctly. You can't just stop doing things because somebody else has done it. You have to do it correctly. And I would urge every single one of you to have a look at notaperson.org. Have a look at that website and see where you sit. But do it correctly. She was also challenged by a paralegal. And she came out and said, this is the reason that I've done this, this, and this. And you're conflicting two things. The old system will conflict many things and try and cause chaos to hope that you back down. But you have rights, God-given rights. Stand up for them, because if you don't, they'll take them away. Drew.
Next up, tensions between Donald Trump and Pope Leo XIV are exploding into the open air. Senior Vatican officials have now publicly criticised Trump's attack on the Pope after disputes over immigration, Iran and nuclear theoretic. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to hold a tense meeting with Pope Leo as both sides attempt to cool the growing diplomatic clash.
But this is all part of the pantomime, and this is all to wake people up. We've said so many times, this is all pantomime. This is all a movie. There are certain things, and I alluded to it yesterday, about the three guys that escaped from Alcatraz and were given a part in the movie. So this movie's been going on for 60 years. It's a bit like Rocky. Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3. Which one are we on right now? I have no idea. But it's all a movie and it's all continuing. My final story is very interesting because it's the difference between government and business. Remember that Donald Trump is not a politician. He's a businessman. In business, if you're going to spend money, you weigh up risk and reward. You assess the risk and you look at the reward. That's how business operates. Otherwise, you go bankrupt. When you're in government, you spend, and you don't actually analyse what you've spent until years later, just before you're about to leave office. And you wonder why we're in a mess. We're run by idiots who haven't got a clue how to manage money. And that's why your taxes are so high. That's why the debt is so high, because the people who are running the world right now are completely and utterly incompetent. And they think they have a bottomless pit of money, which they do have because we've allowed them to do it. It's time to take back control And Trump is changing that. And for those people who are panicking about Trump, don't panic. He's the last president. I told you that before. I'm telling you again, a little reminder. He's the last president. So don't worry about what's coming next. He's the last president. That was the news. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays we spend with our families, as we should do. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Hi guys, it's Charlie here. If you're looking to protect your future with gold or silver, pick the region you're in and choose one of our trusted partners.
Oval Gold for those that are based in America and Canada. And for those in the UK and Europe, we have Orvesta. Get yours now. Charlie's.gold.